It is. It's podcast day. We're excited. We're digging out there. What have we got? Ooh, yeah.
Dude, it's fucking podcast day.
Takes you back to that time of when you remember what you were doing when you first listened to that album, or
What is going on, champions? That's right. Yes.
What up?
Podcast day. Two dudes talk music. Yes, and stew. I've been stewing on this shit all day.
What is going on?
Yes.
It's that time. It's that time. Podcast time. Yeah, spill the beans, man. Spill the beans. We want it. We want this. The exclusive
Yes, yeah.
details.
Woo!
Hey, you know what day it
That
is.
day. It's that day. It's podcast day. Hey.
Just
How you doing, my
breathe
brother?
in the bad energy. Release the good, man. It's all coming up to the weekend.
Yeah, we're good.
We're there.
Let go of that. Let go of that negativity. It's Friday, Junior. Tomorrow is going to be the good day. Start of the weekend. How you been, mate? What have you been up to?
Dude, I've been so good. And just vibing these boys, vibing our guest tonight.
I guess today. That's awesome. That's awesome.
How about you? Your trip to
Mate,
America is coming up very fast, my
It's
friend.
coming up very, very fast. I started packing today. I've got all my itinerary finally sorted out. It's so much shit that I'm doing. It's kind of sinking, yeah, all the flights and everything is pretty nuts. But I've got everything sorted. I got all my travel sorted now. All my little domestic flights over there. So that's going to be good. In addition to that, I got the studio door fucking finished.
I
was
saw that on
repainting that.
Facebook. A bit of
thing
nostalgia
up.
on there to
Yep.
look at.
Yeah, well, I got, we had the old Acid Nymph standing banners, and Zach's got one of the things, and I somehow ended up with the other one, and I thought, it's about the same size as a door, so I can probably do something with that. And yeah, so I threw that up. I painted the door black, so it looks really cool at the end of that corridor, just a very, very dark door, which is really trippy because I used that black 3.0 paint, so you kind of can't see. It just looks very flat from a distance. You can't see that it's got the indentations and everything on it until you get up close. So, yeah. And I got the Unentitled EP finished. That's all printed and off to them.
Ooh.
So it's out of my hands now.
I'm very
which is
interested
good.
to hear
That's
the rest of that.
finally finished. Yeah. I think you'll like it.
They've
I
drummed
think
up a
you'll
bit
like
of controversy, which is always interesting.
it. Yeah. Well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to preempt anything with that. About
Well,
any
that's-
official announcements from that particular place. So
Regardless,
I
it's
don't wanna-
theirs and theirs of their own.
Yeah. So once that news comes out, we will publicly from them directly. We'll talk about that. But I
Yeah.
don't want to expose anything that's not ready to be exposed at the moment. So we'll just go with there. And I think we're just about ready for our guests today. What do you reckon?
Oh, dude, I am so ready.
Mate.
I'm so ready.
So-
Jeez.
Let me say this. So Skunkbone has played with these guys a couple of times, and it's been a lot of fun. They're always a very, very entertaining band, extremely talented group of people. And I've also seen them a couple of times aside from that at the other various gigs I've been to. Been really, really keen to have this group on since we started, really. I've been wanting to have these boys on. So please, let's put our hands together and welcome Lockie and Max from Monsters Up North.
Yes, how you going, boys?
How you
Hey,
doing?
Hey. Yeah, good. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank
No,
you for
look,
having me. Yeah.
Any time. I mean, I genuinely mean playing shows with you guys when Skunkbone's been out there doing stuff. I think it's mostly been like larger shows, like festival type environments.
Yeah.
But it's always a highlight when you guys are on the bill, and we're off kind of working on our next album at the moment, especially once I get back from America. But once we start ramping up gigs again, I definitely need to tee something up with yourselves because
Yeah.
you guys are a band up here that immediately from the moment I first saw you guys stood out to me as very, very talented group. So thank you very much for agreeing to come on the podcast here and talk to us.
Thank you.
And I'm
He has
fortunate
been-
enough to be a new fan. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Raph did say
Oh,
last week.
Carl's got a good ear.
Oh, mate, Raph did say last week that I would seriously enjoy you guys, and I went the full deep dive today, and I'll tell you what, It's so fresh. It's so good. I love it. Like I put you guys in there definitely with an old school Arctic Monkeys feel with a nice Aussie twist on it. I really thoroughly enjoy the new album.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Cemetery Weather. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about Cemetery Weather, we'll go a bit further back into the band's history in a moment. But was that like a self-recorded and self-produced thing? Did you guys hire a studio to go and do that? What's the story around that one?
So we had a mate that had a studio in his place, his parents' place, and we just went to his house for a couple days. And
You make it sound so boring. It was like it was a mansion basically in the Budrum like rainforest.
yeah,
It was pretty nice, and like they have a Airbnb there, like in part of their house that we stayed at. So yeah, it was really cool.
it was really fun just getting to flush out all the ideas we had. There wasn't a lot of pressure on like time because it was just like with a good friend. So
And obviously because we had like we couldn't really afford to take off work, we kind of just had to go down like every few weekends. We'd go down for like the Saturday, Sunday.
kind of like a little mini holiday that we were working on music.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
That's such a good way of doing it. Instead of being buckled down, at least you get, maybe 2 or 3 songs out and they're done, and you get to just digest that and then think about what you want to do in the next ones. Because the album's a journey.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, no, it was very good. I think we actually recorded it probably about a year before we released it. We recorded it in about between May to July 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was about a year before we released it.
Cool.
Wow.
That's
How do you sit on that?
We've got better stuff coming now.
Yeah.
I mean, like we've got favorites and regrets.
Yeah, definitely.
that's always the way though. I mean, when is an album done? You know what I mean? It's so hard to tell. You could keep. I think a lot of times we get so caught up in, oh, we should have done this or we could have done the other thing, but eventually it kind of reaches a point where you could change a million things about it and it wouldn't be better or worse. It would just be different.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and that's something that I think is really, really hard for a lot of young musicians to recognize, especially in their first few goes around on writing and recording. So learning that lesson is definitely something that takes a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I feel like we grew up kind of, with like CDs and albums and stuff. So
Yeah.
when we started this band, we all wanted to make an album, but unfortunately, like albums are kind of obsolete.
Yeah.
Not obsolete, but like, a
People
lot of
can't
people
do
just
them.
want to hear, people just want to hear singles these days. But, and people when we tell people we have an album, they're like, oh, really?
Like it's a shock factor.
yeah, like that was
Yeah.
a silly choice. And it's like, well, that's what we always wanted to do since we were kids, and now we can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I want one.
No, absolutely,
I want one.
absolutely. It's a very, very good feeling to be able to do that. And now that you've done it, maybe you can switch to a more, I guess, a more modern approach to releasing the music. Just before we go any further, I do want to give a shout out to Boone Danby Band. Thank you so much for the follow. Very much appreciated.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was, as you said, yeah. So you were saying that's kind of the dream, right? Is to get the album done and recorded.
yeah,
With
exactly.
the album done. And so let's go back a little bit before that though, a little bit further. How long has Monsters Up North been a thing? Like when did it start and how did it get started?
I've been kind of writing the songs since I was in high school, and I've always wanted to get a band up and running. God, since like the mid 2010s, and during COVID, when everything was kind of shut down, and I didn't have a job, I just kind of put like ads out there and feelers to see if there was any other musicians that wanted to join.
And that's how you found me and Corey.
Yeah, well, my dad met Corey's friend in a bar and was like, "My son's a musician." He's like, "My friend's a drummer. Maybe our kids could."
There's
hang
always a
out."
Corey. Why is there always a Corey? Feels
Yeah,
like there's
I don't
always a
know.
Corey.
And yeah, then Max was in a band that broke up around the same time. I was looking to really start getting serious. So he answered my ad on Facebook and then came around and we kind of just clicked from like the first practice.
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
Broke a few laws.
Yes.
Yeah. I was pumped though.
You can't. That's it. You can't leave now. They know too much, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, it was the perfect time because, like, during that lockdown from, like, March to about, like, July, August 2020, like, we spent, like, pretty much every day together just, like, writing and recording.
Yeah,
You know,
just like fleshing out ideas.
Yeah.
Kind of figuring out what we wanted to do and who we wanted to be as a band.
Yeah.
It really gave us a lot of time to kind of master our craft, I guess.
So, yeah, like, by the time we actually, you know, were allowed to play gigs again in, like, August and we played a gig, we already kind of felt like an established band just because we'd been working so hard, like, during that lockdown period.
Yeah.
Well, at least you
And
didn't
that-
waste any time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was pretty much
So-
during that period we wrote Cemetery Weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Except
that's
for the
awesome.
song Cemetery Weather.
Yeah.
Every other song was written except for that one.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of them you
Awesome,
did video clips for, didn't you? So it was like a. You did sort of do the drip feed thing, but it was only one or two,
Yeah, so-
2 or 3 songs, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we recorded the album, and then a few months later we released I Want You First,
Yeah.
and then Sideways a few months later, and then Easy. We didn't get to do a video for Easy. We wanted to. I think I can't even remember what happened. It was going to be a live video, and then I think the person we had pulled out of the gig or something.
Yeah. The guy we had organized to film it couldn't come.
Which is unfortunate.
But yeah.
We've always wanted like a live music video because I feel like we go like our live sets are very energetic and stuff, and
They
we do
absolutely
really
are.
want to capture that.
Yeah.
One day
One day.
we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's just a matter of the timing around everything, right? So I wanted
Yeah.
to ask about the name Monsters Up
Yeah.
North. Is that a reference to something, or is it literally just like we're in Queensland, so we're up north, so
Yeah, we get that.
whatever? Like,
Everyone's like, Monsters Up North, you guys from Cairns? Yeah, no.
No, that was 3-hour
But,
flight.
yeah, it was.
Rip.
Unfortunate.
Miss those guys so
They were
much.
on
Yeah, they were legit. They were legit.
Brandon's still doing it, and Dylan's still out there doing it. They're good guys.
But yeah, the
But,
Monsters Up North thing.
Monsters Up North is just a little, like, limerick or line I came up with just to express, like, depression and anxiety up in your head. Like, they're the monsters.
Yeah.
Is north of the body. So
no,
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of like the
Very
monsters you
clever.
kind of build up in your head. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
vices and stuff.
I didn't even think of that. That's such a fucking clever name. You're
See, that's the
smart.
thing,
You're
like,
smart,
it-
motherfuckers.
Yeah, like
Thanks.
we feel like it's really smart, but no one else seems to like pick up on it until we say it.
yeah, then everyone's just like, oh, whoa.
No, but that's a great thing. Everyone
No,
just goes through
that's
the assumption.
100%.
What were you going to say,
Yeah.
Raph?
Yeah. No, I think that's a very, very clever name there, and very, very cool story behind that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah, I feel like we talk about a lot of interpersonal issues like depression and loss and loneliness and addiction
Yeah.
in our music. So it was kind of just like a really fitting title for the band to kind of encapsulate it all without just calling ourselves We're Sad.
Yeah, like I feel like you know every band does usually have the kind of like a theme, like whether it's like political or whatever, and I feel like ours is definitely like mental health.
Yeah.
it definitely comes through in the music, and it's but in a good way though. I don't mean in a bad way.
Yeah,
It's these are the kind of themes that for a lot of people are very difficult to talk about. And
Yeah.
music has always been a way for people to feel feelings and process emotions that they may not be ready to speak about or discuss, right? Like, it's the whole thing about that's why when we're happy, we want to listen to happy music. It's because it helps us to process subconsciously those emotions. When we're sad, we want to listen to sad music
Yeah.
so that we are in touch with those feelings and those emotions. So it's always something that's been there in like. So yeah, it's a really yeah, I think it's a cool name. I think it's a memorable name too, to be honest with you. Like, it's just something where you
sweet.
can kind of like Monsters Up North. It's simple, it's easy to remember. Like, you know, some bands they kind of have weird names or misspelled stuff or whatever, and it can be difficult to remember them or find them. But yeah, I think it's a rad name.
That's good. Like, usually when we make like a profile on something, like even on Discord today, like Monsters Up North, like no one's taken that.
Yeah,
ever.
like Gmail, we're not like Monsters Up North 1769. It's just Monsters Up North.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's awesome when you can find that too, right? Like, we had
Yeah.
we had a very similar thing with Skunkbone. We were looking around for it, and because we originally were going to go with a different name, but then there was like 50 small bands that had that same name, and we're like, it's going to be impossible to distinguish ourselves. We need to change it. And then we're looking around at other options, trying to come up with stuff that fit our personality and our vibe. And when we hit on Skunkbone, we're like, all right, that sounds pretty good. And we're looking around at anything, and we couldn't find just about there was almost nothing else with that same name. So we're like, cool, that's what we're going to go with. And it's just sometimes you get lucky and you hit on the right combination that's not already heavily in use, which is a great help, because it makes it that much easier for your fans to find you.
yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so you came together during COVID and wrote a lot of that material there. When was the first gig though? When was the actual first show?
So the first show was I hassled every venue all through lockdown. Like, can you do gigs yet? Can you do gigs yet? And it kind of, I probably pissed them all off, but it paid off in the end, because I feel like our gig was probably one of the first of like the local bands kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the Flaming Glar. We headlined, and then we had Wetlands, Hey Danger, and Pablum supporting.
Yeah.
And honestly, so many fucking people came out.
I still think it's one of our biggest shows.
Yeah.
like there's so many people
because
just
of-
aching for live music.
Because of restrictions and stuff, like we had to start turning people away, which is like pretty depressing, you know? Like, these people have come to see you play, and you have to stand there at the door being like, no, sorry.
We're at capacity.
Yeah.
But that was just the time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And when was that though? That was what?
August 2020.
August 2020. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
August 2020. Righto. Okay. Because I think it can't have been much longer after that I saw you guys for the first time. So I honestly thought you've been active for far longer than that. From the quality of the performance and the material you guys were putting out, I would have said you guys were active for a couple of years before that at least. So that just goes to show
the quality.
That just goes to show the quality of what you guys are bringing to the table.
Even Boon to Mid Band, Monsters Up North Prime as a 3-piece.
Sorry?
Boon to Mid Band, Monsters Up North, Prime as a 3-piece. Asking the question.
You guys are 4-piece, right?
Yeah. Would you thought your
Yeah,
Prime
we
was a
started as a 3-piece.
yeah.
And then we added our second guitarist, Lockie, because we wanted to recreate live a lot of the stuff we do in recordings. And like, the guitarist.
You had to do it.
Yeah, it had to be done.
Okay. How are you finding the writing process now? Does your fourth guitarist get involved a lot more now with the writing process, or?
Definitely.
Yeah. Like, a lot of our songs we write just in the jam room. Like, one of us will bring forward an idea, and one of us will be like, oh, that's good, keep doing that. And then we'll just kind of noodle around until we kind of formulate an idea, and then we work on structure together, and it kind of all involves us. Like, sometimes I'll bring a song to the band, or Max will bring a song, and then we'll be like, this is a song we've been working on personally, and we'll all kind of like learn the parts for it.
Okay.
We'll like collaborate as well to try and make it more our style. And Lockie brings a lot of his songs to the practices as well, like the
That's
other
awesome.
guitarists.
That's really good. So I like that. I really enjoy when bands have got that kind of collaborative style because it means you get variety while you're still getting consistency, right? So you can have you have an album and there'll be a variety of, a range of sort of different songs rather than just having the same few songs recycled, the same feels, the same things kind of recycled throughout the album.
That's the thing. I feel like our songs are like the way they are because we kind of like all collaborated together.
Yeah.
Like a funny story I love, like this is my favorite. One of my favorite songs, Rats Can't Swim in Sparkling Water on the album, that was kind of just like a bass riff I randomly started playing. Like it was really unconventional. I just started, picking notes, and then Corey started drumming along. And Lockie was actually on the toilet at the time, and he came running out, and he's like, don't stop playing, I've written the guitar part for it.
Oh, wow.
Taking a poop.
It was just perfect. Like it just came together instantly, and like that's how a lot of our songs come together. Not on the toilet, but just
I
like
was going to say. I know some of the best ideas come on the shitter, but geez, guys, come on.
But yeah, just like someone will start playing something randomly at practice, and we'll all like,
It kind of feels like when you hear like a song, like a new song for the first time, and it just sparks that thing of insanity in your brain where you're just like, I fucking love this.
Yeah.
Like one of us will start playing something, we're just like, that's really cool, or I vibe really heavily with that. Let's use that.
Yeah.
And I think that's how the best songs come about.
100%.
Like when you just like, hey, we got this really cool vibe. Like that's got a cool vibe. I've got something for it, and it just quickly flows and comes out. Like you're not having to force anything. You're not having to struggle to create the other parts for it or write lyrics for it or melodies. When it just kind of naturally flows like that, so you get your best material.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like me personally as a songwriter, if I have to force something, I'll always end up not liking it as much as I could.
I feel that so much. The amount of songs where I've written a verse and a chorus, and then like I can't come up with anything to match it, or like I'll be coming up with lyrics for something, and I'll have, first verse is easy, chorus is all right, second verse I have to try and force something. I'm never satisfied with what I've done when I have to do it that way. It's very, very challenging you can't force the magic, you know what I mean? But when it's naturally there, or when you're collaborating and bouncing those ideas off of each other, that's when, you guys know that's when the magic happens, right?
Yeah, it's definitely how we've ended up with a lot of our songs that we still enjoy playing like 2 years later.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Last thing you want
So
is your own material to get off.
So what's each of your favorite songs of the band?
I know you said Rats Can't Swim, but my favorite is actually Pathetic, just because I'm a soft boy. The one I'm most proud of though would have to be like the song Cemetery Weather, just because that was kind of like my baby. And like when I brought that to the band, like trying to explain what I wanted, the other guys were just like, what are you talking about, bro? That's not gonna happen. And I was like, nah, we can make this happen.
Yeah,
and
he pushed very hard.
And we made it happen, and it was incredible.
I think my favorite would be either a tie between Cat and Mouse or Easy. I really like the feel of Easy and like the energy and like the quiet loud, and it just kind of feels like it explodes. And both the songs, like lyrically, have written about something personal in my life. Like all of the songs. It was funny because when I wrote it at the time, my girlfriend at the time was like, "Oh, it's a really sweet song you wrote about me," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's about you, not my crippling drug addiction." Yeah.
Oh, shit. Boonda's in the chat there, going like Puerto Rico.
Oh fuck.
So people,
I think Puerto Rico is our most marketable and poppy song. Like I did write it just to have a bit of fun, and it is a really fun song. But I feel like I wrote that back when Monsters Up North wasn't Monsters Up North, and I was still just kind of feeling out myself.
Yep.
You ever thought about revamping it?
No, we just want to sweep it under.
No, Max said no.
I feel like if we revamp it, I don't think we could capture the same feel that it has. Like,
That's
especially now.
That's fair enough.
Like, I feel like the recording and songwriting is great. We just don't like it.
Yeah, it's not really our vibe or scene, but it is a really fun song.
Yeah. Might be that one that the cult, if you ever make a big play,
Yeah, and we still get that sometimes. People are like, Puerto Rico. We're like, we have one more room for one more song. What should we play? And I'll be asking Max and like Corey, and then we'll hear something like, I'm like, oh fuck. It's like, I don't want to say "Our Smells Like Teen Spirit," but it feels a bit like that.
Calm down. The ego in this guy.
Hey,
It's your creep, right? It's your creep. You don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's out with arms wide open.
Oh no!
Oh my god. So.
You just told the
Righto.
audience so much about yourself.
I like Creed.
I do like some Creed songs. I'm deflecting now.
I mean, I don't mind Creed. Just that's when a song just gets played so much, it's almost like that FBI torture thing that they used back in the day when they just played that Cher song over and over and over again.
Yeah,
It's like that.
So I wanted to ask about the artwork across the singles,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at it at the moment, and it's all kind of a consistent style across the last few singles. Is that so? First of all, who's doing that artwork? Because I really, really dig it. And second of all, is that something that was the plan from the beginning, or you kind of you got the cover art for one of them and you went, "This is really cool. We should carry that over." How did that idea happen?
So Corey, the drummer, his girlfriend Ewan actually did all that artwork for us. She's incredible at drawing and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And it wasn't completely planned. Like, we always wanted like themed singles, just because like, when you used to buy like an album back in the day, and then you would like try and find like the singles for it, and a lot of the times like they'd be themed really cool. So we did want to capture that, but we didn't know what we're doing.
We really liked the comic book style.
Yeah.
That like Yun did for the first one, I Want You. And like the second we saw it, we were all kind of just like, shit, that's awesome. And then we kind of formulated the idea that it would be cool as the listeners followed the singles, they could kind of follow a story we tell with the pictures. Because like music tells one story, and then I feel like you can always tell a different side of the story through like music videos and artwork and stuff. Yeah. So it kind of follows a breaking relationship. If you look at like from I Want You to All Our Flowers Growing Sideways, then to Easy, then to the final thing, Cemetery Weather. It just kind of tells the story of like this failing relationship that eventually ends in tragedy. And that's kind of what
have you considered a film clip in that kind of style, utilizing not so much full animation in that style, but the sort of that kind of animation where maybe they've got the background and the figures are sort of like somewhat moving a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Well, you can have that
Sounds
one.
like
There
a
you
good
go.
money,
we need to make it happen once we have someone to front the cash.
That's the worst part about being in rock and roll, baby. The money don't come as quick as the music ideas come.
Talk to
There's
Zach.
no money in it, but the amount of money we put into it, it's just like, fuck.
Talk to Zach. Reach out to Paradox Studios. I'm sure he can help you out with something.
Do that.
I'm sure you guys can. He'll probably give you a good rate on that one. He likes doing stuff for bands for good rates. So.
Yeah, I do want to just say though, with our new artwork, like with the single for our new artwork, I'm really, like, we didn't plan it, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, because Dementophobia is kind of like a song about.
It's like Dementophobia, the words about, it's the fear of losing your mind, and like the fear of going insane, which is a trip in itself, because it's like you're conscious of the fact that you're going crazy and you're scared of it happening.
And the thing with the artwork is that like, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's kind of like, it's painting like, it's almost like someone's with Dementophobia has painted like a self-portrait of what they think they look like, kind of thing.
Yeah, like when you see Van Gogh's self-portraits and you can see like the deterioration of his mental state as he goes on. That's kind of what we wanted to capture.
So I kind of I kind of look at that and I'm like, this is kind of like the author or writer or whatever.
Yeah,
Like the
the guy the story's
the
about.
protagonist is like painted a self-portrait of what he thinks he looks like, basically.
Is that the snippet that's on the that was on the cover photo that had the tour dates listed on?
Yes.
Is that the
You can
one?
just see, like,
Right,
the
yes.
eyes there, yeah.
Yes, I get the vibe on that. That's very, very cool. So on to that new single then. So that's part of a new album or an EP, or is it just going to be standalone?
No, we're just doing standalone singles for the moment.
Yeah, we might look at doing an
Good
EP in the future, but we just want to kind of put out these standalone singles that we've had for a bit now, and yeah, just really capture people's attention again.
Just play the algorithm game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is. You just want to play the algorithm game, and that by drip feeding him, it's much better for the algorithm.
Like, we felt weird doing it at the start, and it took a lot of convincing because Max and I are quite set in our ways with like EP, album, then singles.
That's the way you're meant to fucking do it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like a dog trained up just barking at no one.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of the way it has to be, right? Like, you wanted to do, but we were the same with Skunk Bone. We were like, we wanted to do, we'd been in bands before that had done singles or EPs, but none of us had been in a band that had done a full album before. So we're like, we want to have this first thing be a full album so that we've got, a bunch of songs people can listen to, and we've got all that material there. And, like I said, we're in the midst of doing album number 2 at the moment, but beyond that, it's probably going to be that kind of game, right? Like EPs or singles from there, because it's the way that the industry operates is changing. And I suppose you can still do, singles that tell a story over time. It means, I'm really pedantic about it and want, if you're going to have a batch of songs collected as an album, they need to be recorded at the same time so that they sound the same. Because even if you go away and then like come back 3 weeks, 4 weeks later and try and have all the settings the same, it's never going to be exactly the same. And it's going to be, and that's just my brain being very, very pedantic about that stuff. But the industry's...
With albums and having like a good variety, I feel like when we put out the album, it does have a good mix of songs. It's not just for one select genre. It can like kind of reach a lot more people.
Definitely. So that single's coming out then. Do you have any other singles recorded at the moment that you're planning to release coming up, or you just
We're getting on that very soon, hopefully.
That's the next step. In the next few weeks, we really want to start working on the other singles and then have like a catalog to kind of push.
Yeah, like a back catalog that we can just release, you know what I mean?
Have you thought about doing it the exact same way? Maybe just write an album and then just drip feed it, and then just put the main focus into like the artistic side of it and linking the story and making sure that it's... Because I mean, you guys can essentially still write an album. It all depends on the way you release said album, whether you release it as one full album or if you release it in sections or piece by piece, or I mean the whole you can still do it.
We've kind of done that. Like our live show now, it's kind of like a completely different set to what we would have played when Cemetery Weather came out. So we do have like a lot of different material. It's just about finding the time, because we all work full time. Finding the time to get together to record a whole album now is a bit more difficult than what it was during like 2020, 2021.
I think we only actually play one song of Cemetery Weather now, actually.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we only play our one year now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
You got an
that
album
just
there.
gives material to cycle back in, right? Like
exactly.
Variety, you can go, all right, you play these shows and that's how it is, and then maybe later in the year, if you play a bunch more shows, you can be like, hey, let's bring back some of those songs that we didn't play earlier in the year, right?
Keeps things interesting for us and like the fan base. We treat the songs like the McRib. When we bring it back, everyone will be like, oh fuck!
Well, you want to if you're gonna have the problem of not having enough songs versus having too many songs. You want to have the problem of having too many songs because it gives you
Yeah.
options. It allows you to keep it interesting for yourselves by, like we said, cycling these songs in and out. So you're not playing the same songs week in, week out with it, you know. And okay, you might have to, you know, if you haven't played a song for 18 months, you might have to take a little bit of time to relearn it. I mean, I don't know, unless you like practice demons and keep up on literally everything.
I admire the honesty.
My live shows are our practices.
That's really, really good. So we've been talking about Dementophobia. So that one is out next week, is it?
Next Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
Next Friday the 17th, and that's on all the usual platforms. I don't think it's barely even worth saying what platforms it's on now because everything kind of just goes onto everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And has that got a music video to go with it when the single comes out, or is that?
No, we broke
No?
the budget on the recording, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like if we got a chance or an opportunity to do like a live music video, we'd definitely love to. It's a very high energy song, and it's kind of like what the snippet was that we used to like advertise the single.
From what I've heard on that, I'm really, really digging that. It's the quality, the audio production on that is top notch. Was that your recorded at the mansion in the rainforest again, or was that?
No, we actually we recorded this one at Birthday Boy with Chris Antelak.
Yeah.
Awesome. And whereabouts is that one located?
Taringa.
No, it's
No, Tarragindi.
Tarragindi.
That one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Very, very cool. And how was that experience? Did you guys really was it challenging? Did you guys push yourselves a bit, or was it more of a
Every time we record with someone new, it's always weird trying to get to meet the person and show something so vulnerable like your music to a stranger. So that was kind of the big jump to get over. But after like the first few hours, Chris became like a really good friend, and like he was really easy to talk to. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. He had a lot of really cool gear that we've never got to play on before, and doing the vocal warm-ups was the biggest thing. Like, I've never really done vocal warm-ups, and Chris is like, here's a half-an-hour video, do it. And I was like, okay.
It's so important. They are so important, right? And I mean, I've had
my best vocal performance.
yeah. Well, and that's it. Like, I've done, you know, I've done the metal band thing, and we're doing Skunk Bone, which is a lot more clean vocals, and, you know, even, look, I'm not the greatest vocalist by any stretch, but whenever I've done vocal warm-ups, it always is a lot easier to hit what you need to hit, and you'll find you're not as sore afterwards, you're not as strained afterwards, and it's so essential. And now, like, every time I'm going to a gig where I have to sing or do any kind of vocals, I'm always hit that vocal warm up in the car on the way there, and just play that, even if it's a 10-15 minute thing. You know, it makes so much difference.
Oh, definitely.
And
Bubbles,
that's the one
man.
thing.
Bubbles is the easiest one.
Yeah, and I'd say
I've seen some air straws that people blow into water to warm their vocals up
Yeah.
without like.
and that's the thing. I think, you know, if there happens to be any, you know, young singers out there that are starting to do vocals on stuff, starting to sing in bands or even solo projects, and you're thinking, oh, this is fine, like I don't need to do vocal warm-ups, I don't need to do, you absolutely do, because even if you're good without them, if you do them, you'll be even better. So
Yeah.
And if you
without
are
a
dead
doubt.
serious, and if you are dead, go get a music teacher if you can afford it. Go get a singing coach. I had one for a little bit, and you don't need one for long. Go see one. Get a cheap keyboard and pay attention in class, and you can learn so much in a 3-month period, and you will go leaps and bounds.
They help you, because like a vocal coach is going to help you understand your voice better and how to get the most out of your voice,
And where it's
which
coming
is
from.
a lot of it. You can get exercises online, and that's fine. That's one thing, but working with a vocal coach that knows what they're doing and is able to teach you about, you know, your voice and how to get the most out of it is just you can't self-teach that. It's just not possible.
No.
So, right. So, look, we've talked about the origins of the band there, and you know, I think, as I've said, you know, you guys are smashing it. I've seen you several times, and I don't think I've ever seen a bad show. So
That's
really,
funny you say that, Raph, because that last show we played with you guys at the back room, we
Yeah.
probably considered that our worst show we've ever played.
Yeah.
We actually
Really?
we had a bit of a band meeting after that one.
We nearly considered calling it quits after that.
Don't
Like, no,
you
it's-
ever,
that's
don't
what
you
happened.
lot ever do that. Don't you
That's what
lot
happened.
ever,
I was-
you're talented mofos, man.
Because
Oh,
I was
thanks,
trying to
man.
talk to you guys. I saw, after your set, I was like, cool, like they've had their set, I'll let them unload off the stage or whatever. And then I saw, I was going to go and talk to you guys, and I saw you kind of were all standing around looking a bit forlorn. I was like, I'll get them later. And then, like, we're gone. So I was like,
Yeah.
whatever, we'll chat at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, sorry
Um,
about that. That was honestly not a good note for us.
Nothing to
I like-
apologize for.
I was going through some shit. I had like a breakdown on stage. I was about like to walk off. It was.
I think there was a lot of like not tension, but just like unsaid stuff
Mm.
that really need to be said, like said that kind of came to a point during that set.
Yeah.
And so after that set, I remember just kind of being like, guys, we need to all chat.
I'm
Mm.
glad we did though. I feel like
Yeah.
we're a lot stronger now as a band, and
Yeah.
having that little moment where we could walk away and realize this is what we do really, really, really want to do, and we do really like love each other. Like, yeah, it was a very important period in time. Like, it
Yeah.
had to be done.
I feel like that chat we had at that gig was definitely like a turning point for us there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, like any relationship, communication's essential, right? And you need to be able to
Yeah.
have those difficult discussions and work out any interpersonal issues that are happening within the band. And if you've got people in the band, if the band's not willing to do that, if the people aren't willing to do that, then it's not going to last. So the fact that you were able to work through something like that, props to you guys. And I think that says a lot about, if you guys decide to call it a day, I don't feel like it's going to be because of interpersonal issues like that. It'll be for whatever other reasons you decide.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I am glad that you guys sort of worked
Not
through
after what you just
guys
brought
had
out. You
going
can't.
on.
I'll come up there and put my foot up all four of your asses. Not after that. Not after that album that I just listened to. No, you don't get to do that, Tim. I've got to get another one. You've spoiled me now. Now I want more.
Man.
No, I don't think we could break up on the premise that like we're so excited about these new songs that we've written. Like so excited.
Like, when we were finished with Cemetery, we were like, this is it, boys. Like, we're up here now with our music writing, and now these new songs are just like, Cemetery Weather, what was that?
Oh,
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. It's so good. It's so good. Because you got to have that confidence and belief in your material, right? Otherwise, what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
Like, you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it the most. You have to be writing for yourselves first and foremost, because otherwise the audience isn't going to connect with what
Yeah.
you're playing. And that's something that I've always gotten from your music and your performances is that sense of it feels very genuine. I mean, and whether it's as you guys have said, like you guys aren't you haven't written everything yourself. It's been a collaborative effort from everyone in the band. So the fact that you can bring that genuine energy to songs that maybe you didn't write the lyrics for, it says a lot for your ability as a performer and your ability to connect with the music. So, and that's something that's not enough people out there have. Like, I think you can tell if someone's up there, and if they didn't write the song, maybe they're not connecting with it emotionally, and that comes across to the audience. They 100% can tell
must be a true impact.
when the heart's not in it. So yeah. All right. Well, Kyle, why don't we move on to the quick question quarter? Have you got the little cutaway ready there, my
Oh, I
friend?
do, man. It's all going
All
gravy
right.
lately.
Hit the quick question quarter. Hit the cutaway.
Let's go. Ooh.
All right. So, quick question quarter. We will run through a bunch of questions here. And look, as a fan of a band, or if you've been to a few shows and talked to the band a little bit, you feel like, oh yeah, like I know these guys, I know these people, right? Like they're we're acquaintances, we have a bit of a thing. Well, the whole point of the quick question quarter is that we allow our audience to get to know you better as musicians and as people. So we got several questions here. We start off with some really easy ones, and then it gets a little bit deeper, a little bit more intense towards the end there. Don't worry, we're not going to dive into any like childhood trauma or anything like that.
Funny.
But let's get in there with the first one. What was the first instrument that you learnt to play?
I learned to play the guitar first, like when I
Same.
was 13, 14.
Yeah,
Yep.
same.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And what was the
guitars.
first album that you purchased or that you wanted specifically to get for yourself?
Probably the Cure's greatest hits. I think it would have been.
Wow. That's a good first album. That's a good first album.
My first album was the Hanson album back in like 98.
That's a great
You
first album.
kind of got the hair You kind of got the hair, right?
Yeah,
The thing.
with
So
that Backstreet Boy night,
little bit longer, and you'll have like that sort of part that hangs right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they always
The
said
one
the
that you
girl's
got to keep
crazy.
moving.
Oh, the hair flick. Gotta love that.
He's born with it.
Before.
And first live concert that you went to.
Oh, mine was The Living End. It was a secret show. And I was about 13. I'd never heard The Living End before. My friend asked me if I wanted to come. And I was there I was at home listening to my Cure's greatest hits. And I was like, no, fuck The Living End. I only care about The Cure. And then I decided to go, and they absolutely blew my mind.
That's a good.
I think
first
I went
concert.
home and I was like, fuck The Cure, The Living End.
Right, that's solid. The Living End.
The Living End are absolutely insane. And what about you, mate?
My first concert was Parkway Drive at the River Stage.
Nah. Nice.
Yeah,
Another
my
good
mom
one.
didn't want me going, and I had to kind of tell a fib and be like, no, they're a Catholic rock band.
What year was that?
2009?
Oh, okay. I went to the 2011 one.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, they're
But it was-
vegans, so you're not like.
Yeah, but it was so much fun. Like, there was Wish for Wings, Architects, and Parkway Drive. And like when Parkway Drive started, I can remember when they started playing Siren Song, it started hailing, and it was just people chucking hail at each other. And I came home battered and bruised, and had the best night of my life.
You saw Architects before I knew them. That makes me sad.
I didn't even know who
must
they
have
were.
been-
I was like, these guys are fucking sick.
Wait.
That must have been pretty early for Architects, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that would have been like Holy Crown era. That could
Yeah.
have even been like their first Australian tour.
Could have been, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy because I didn't see him.
It's a good first
I think
show
it
for
was
a Parkway.
2011. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 2011 when I started getting into Architects a lot.
Yeah.
And sometime Britney came out with like the There Is a Hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
I love that. I love when you find a band before most other people.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's such a good feeling. Like, for me, that one was Disturbed, right? Like, I found out about Disturbed through, it was like an old Flash animation website, and this is really going to be aging myself here, called stickdeath.com. And it was all like, you see, Kyle knows. It was all like really shoddily done Flash animation cartoons of like stick people fighting each other. And there was like a series that was done on like a Super Beast character, and it used, they used, like, originally it was Rob Zombie's Super Beast as the music on one of the tracks. Then they had one later in that series that used Down with the Sickness.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what's this band? And they credited it at the end, and I'm like, Disturbed. All right, I'm gonna look that up. Looked it up, and I'm like, okay, so they got the album, cool. And I had to like, I think it was kind of been long after The Sickness was released as an album. So I went down to, the CD shop and found it. They had a couple of copies there, so I bought one and everything, and telling all my friends about it. All my friends in school about it. I was just like, you got to check out this band Disturbed, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, who the fuck? Why don't I give a fuck about this fucking band? And then by the time they drop their second album, everyone's coming to me going, oh, have you heard this band Disturbed? I'm like, bruh.
And
So
then you
I-
can just like walk into a Target and be like, ooh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, being one of the first in your group to sort of find out about a band just before they blow up is always a fucking mad feeling, I think. It just like, because everyone wants to be a little bit hipster sometimes. Well, I knew them before they were popular, I
That's
think
why we do this, isn't it?
music fans, we take as music fans, we take a little bit of pride in that. I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's like finding gold. You know? You're just like
Little
"Look at
bit.
this."
Little bit.
I'll tell you what's the
Uh,
most heartbreaking thing is when you think like that, like take 3 Hour Flight for example. Fuck man, they were just getting started, and the wings came off that plane, metaphorically speaking. Like,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It is such a shame. There's such a good, like each individual musician was so tight, and like Brandon's still like a really good friend of ours, and Dylan comes in to see me at work every now and then. Like, we'd love to see those boys keep doing their things, but sadly, you know.
It's kind of nice because we actually got to play, like, their last show was with us, so
Yeah,
I suppose that was kind of nice at least.
we even got Brandon up on stage for a Blink cover.
Yeah, that was.
At the bright side, like
Yeah,
it was
that
really
was
fun.
great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, fingers crossed. Maybe they'll revive it, or they'll continue on to do bigger and better things. What's an instrument that you've always wanted to learn but haven't had the chance to yet?
Violin.
Trumpet.
No.
Yeah.
really?
Come on.
You want to get
Trumpet.
Scar, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Fucking
These guys-
Scar, man. Scar
Get a-
rules.
Get a trumpet solo on the next album.
I was like 9, and this music guy came to our primary school and like showcased all these instruments like violin and trumpet and stuff. And he called me up to play the trumpet, and I blew on it, and it like worked instantly. And he's like, "You got really good lips," and like your lips. That sounds weird saying it to a 9.
So, yeah, I was gonna say it's not safe for work.
He's like, you should, come to the school and learn how to play trumpet. And me being 9, I was like,
I'm glad you didn't.
I was like, no, that's lame. I want something cool like guitar. No, Dad.
All right. So, if you could pick one big band or artist to open a show for, who would it be? Now, this can be living or dead, active or not, any point in their career. Just who would be your dream support slot there?
1970. Okay, hold on. We're gonna answer for each other. 1975.
Yeah, The Cure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow,
they
you guys
know each other.
know each other so well. That's amazing. That's awesome. All right. Who is a band or artist that you're listening to at the moment that you believe is seriously underrated and needs more attention?
Yeah, it was.
Nervous Light.
Yeah, like local bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like
local.
anything.
Anything.
Doesn't matter. It can be local, can be international,
yeah.
whatever. Anything you think is not getting enough attention at the moment.
I don't want to be hipster, but I feel like every band I listen to deserves more attention.
I reckon. I mean, they do get a lot of attention, but I think people should take Blink-182 a bit more seriously than they do. Like, they look at them like a joke band, or like now they're like a dad rock band, but like they're really, really fucking good still.
They
I still
are,
love
but they're dads. And they rock.
Yeah,
They're dad rock. Most of their demographic are dads. Like, I was their demographic.
Yeah.
I'm a dad.
Yeah.
For
That's it.
a big band, I would probably say either Alexis on Fire or Placebo, who both released
Ooh.
amazing albums last year. But everyone's like, nah, they're over the hill. But
Yeah.
those 2 albums they released last year were fucking amazing.
Yeah, that new Placebo album, I put it up there as one of their best ones.
Oh yeah, dude.
I
like it's
did
so
not
good.
know Placebo had gotten back together.
Yeah.
Exactly. No,
It's a
exactly.
great album if you want to listen.
Oh, I'm
If you
going
like-
to. I'm going to.
Like, I went to their 20th year anniversary show, and they played all their greatest hits. And I remember standing in the room and being like, "This is a lot more empty than I thought it would be."
Yeah.
Like, I was just so shocked that
They couldn't
more
get
people
babysitters.
Yeah.
We couldn't get babysitters. I'm
Curious to
sorry.
I'm curious to see how that Smashing Pumpkins tour is gonna hash out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the Billy Corgan show will go.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. I can't wait. I'm going. I'm going.
Well, see, I reached out to the company that's running it to try and get Skunkbone on there. They didn't get back to me, but I've since seen that I think Vinny's Dive is running a band battle of the bands thing for a support spot.
Let's go.
So-
Get on it, boys.
Well, if I wasn't going overseas, we'd be entering it. Like, we'd be putting our names down. So if you guys aren't already on that shit, definitely
Yeah,
I'd
we'll
say
have to
hit
look
'em
at
up.
it.
I reckon reckon we'll definitely have a look at that.
I didn't even know that was a thing, so we'll definitely have to have a look.
If we get
I think it's Vinny's Dive, is it?
Insane.
I'm sure it was Vinny's Dive I saw. Let me just
Wow.
check that.
Yeah, I'm going to that.
Vinny's Dive
See,
Bar.
I've only got the option to go to
There you
either
go.
Knotfest or the Pumpkin Show.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Pumpkin Show.
Yeah, you got to go to like Vinny's Dive has shared a post about it. It's being run by Rebel FM, the rock station.
He's got his phone up.
I'm
I
entering
think
now.
it was a bit weird though. I had to go to the Rebel FM rock station website and poke around a bit before I found the link. But yeah,
Alright.
if you head over there, I think you guys are being with a pretty good shot.
Hell yeah.
All right, what is something that people may be surprised to learn about you?
We're actually a lot older than we look.
Yeah, that's a big thing that we get asked a lot. And people are always so shocked at their age. And like, Lockie, our guitarist,
He looks the oldest, but he's the youngest. He's like
Yeah,
22.
he's 22, and people are like, I thought you were like 30.
Lachlan's 22, so he's got a good like 4 to 5 years on all of us. Yet he's the only one that can grow a beard.
All right, what is the cringiest band name or song name that you've been involved with?
That I've been involved with.
Yeah.
Oh, my first band was called Cut Here.
Oh, so edgy. Oh my
I can
god.
already like see like the hair streaks and
The snake bites.
Oh god.
I think it's definitely one of my own band names. When I was starting to write music a bit more avidly and wanted to start a band, the first band name I came up with that I thought was amazing and so clever was Almost Okay. So then I could come up on stage and be like, hey, we're almost okay. And that was like the whole joke. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that.
I feel like we really nailed cringy there.
You
guys.
did.
Yeah,
Yes,
wow,
dude.
that was good.
16-year-old Lockie and Max were not this cool.
That was so
None of us
good. I
were.
love it. I love it.
Going as well.
And what was your and I like this one. What's your most controversial musical opinion?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good question.
CDs over digital streaming.
Yeah, I like
Oh, yeah.
physical copies should mean a lot more than they do nowadays.
Bring them back.
Yeah, like
Okay.
you can still listen to CDs in the car. We made a cassette a while back, and that was a mistake.
In my car.
But,
I mean, we
no.
sold them all at least.
yeah, at least they all sold.
See,
But I still
here's the
think
thing.
CDs should be like a good source of
Yeah.
like listening to music.
Like the vinyl revival I can kind of understand because there's the argument around audio quality. The cassette tape revival I cannot understand. It's purely like it's
Hip-
I mean it's
hipster
beyond
niche
anything beyond the
shit.
nostalgia. Anything beyond the nostalgia of having a cassette tape, right? Because the audio quality is not as good as vinyl or CD. It degrades a lot quicker. You can't buy a tape deck anywhere anymore. It's just
Not
so,
just that, you'll start to learn why your fucking pens are hexagonal.
Yeah.
That's
But,
that's what, it's the only reason why your
yeah.
pens are hexagonal. It's for fucking
Well,
cassette
that's
tapes.
something that we, I think we discussed with someone recently was, that's right, it was a pre-tape we did that's going to be coming out soon. I think we were talking about it. You got to try and make a CD more than just the album,
Yeah.
right? You got to make it like, you got to do something. Oh, and I'm this isn't a secret. We're not sort of trying to hide this as any kind of secret strategy. Something we're looking at for this next Skunkbone album is making the physical copy like a special edition. So that the one that's online and on streaming is the normal version, but if you want the special edition that comes with like some extra songs, maybe some acoustic versions or some live versions, it comes with like a poster and all that shit. That's we're only gonna have we're gonna get only physical versions, and that's all that's gonna be.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the
that'd be sick.
only physical copies we're getting is going to be that version of it. So it kind of creates a scarcity. It makes it more than just. It makes the CD, the album, into a collector's thing or into a merch item in and of itself, rather than just a physical copy of the album.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's where the future of physical media lies.
I actually do have a very controversial opinion that I want to share.
Oh god.
Oh, lovely.
I think guest lists should not be a thing. If your friends really support you, they will pay to see you.
Yeah, even if it's like $10, $15. Like,
I'm
No,
not
I
just saying
I
that
agree.
because I'm a fan.
I
yeah,
agree.
no. I
And
feel
we
like,
look, yeah, I fully support that. I don't think that's particularly controversial at all. Like bands,
I seem to
you
think
know,
it is.
well, especially though, because a lot you got to think, so many venues now, they might give a band one door spot,
Yeah.
right? So if you're doing that, okay, well, if there's three, if four, five people in the band, and if they've all got partners or they've all got like, just don't use it, because how do you decide which partner gets to be on the door thing? That they have to pay for it, blah blah blah. So you know, and yeah, sometimes you might be like, oh hey, look, you know, we're a bit skint this time. Is there any chance that my partner could be on the door? Yeah, sure, no worries. Or hey, my friends come from interstate. You know, they're already paying a lot to travel and hotel. Can we put them on the things like that? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
I agree. I agree. You know, I mean, I've had
One thing I don't like is though, like, when you're on like a lineup in a band, like, there's no tickets sold, but bands will like be like, oh, can we have some guest spots? And it's like, I feel like to get a guest spot, you should have at least like sold some tickets first, you know?
yeah, yes, definitely, definitely. It makes a lot of sense to. Yeah, but I agree as well. It's whether, if you're friends in a band and you want to support them and you want to go and see them, well, if they're worth going to see, then they're worth paying to go and see.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
And a nice way to
And-
circumnavigate that is if someone does pay the $10 or $15, just buy them a beer. It costs you like $5-6 in the band. Just grab them a sneaky schooner or a sneaky drink and just say thank you for coming.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I mean, and we'd only have to buy like 2 beers.
yeah.
Yeah, like no, that's very very valid. I really dig that.
Double
So,
money.
all right, let's move to our next segment, the fuck off files.
All right,
Kyle, when you're ready,
let's
please hit the thing.
fuck off files. Yeah.
All right. So, for those of you who may not have seen the podcast before, this is the fuck off files. Now, this is where we propose a hypothetical scenario to our guests. If you had somehow collected all the Infinity Stones in the Infinity Gauntlet and had all the power in the universe, and you could snap your fingers like Thanos and just fuck off stuff out of existence, what would you fuck off out of the music industry and why? We usually say 3. You guys can do 3 each. You can do 1 each and then like a joint one, however you want to do it. Or you can just keep listing them until we decide, all right, this has gone on long enough and we move on to something else. But what's your first thing and why?
TikTok making artists make TikToks.
Yeah.
I think going along with that one, just like the whole fact that in today's day and age, to be a musician, you also have to be like an expert at social media, you know.
You have to be a content creator. You can't just be
Yeah.
a band or a musician. You have to
And I feel like
play the
that's
algorithm game and be all, yeah.
And that's where we really struggle because, like, I feel like we're fairly good at the music part, but we're like very bad at, you know, technology and Instagram and Facebook, you know.
I mean,
And, like-
we're not bad with technology out our end. We're just terrible at social media content curation.
Oh, same,
Yeah.
same. And like I remember when I was in high school and first making like Facebook and MySpace pages for my bands, like you get like 300 likes in the first day because like everyone would be seeing your posts. Like
Mhm.
those 300 people would see what you post and the songs you upload. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And now like you have to pay just to get like not even half of the people that like your page just
Yeah.
to see it.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate the way that it works now. I recall, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I saw something where they were saying, you know, don't write song. If you're trying to, you know, make it as an artist on social media, don't write songs. Just write choruses. Record those choruses. Put them out with, you know, very basic videos on your social medias, on like your TikToks, on your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever. And whichever ones get the best responses, then write the rest of those songs.
You
And I was horrified at that. I'm like, that's so fucking backwards.
Yeah.
That's not. I mean, that's being, you know, a social media person, not being a musician. In my mind, I don't see that as being a musician. I see that as
Well, good luck
in
to
that
trying to
in that
build.
situation, your goal is to specifically to get big on social media, not to make good music and good art. In my view,
Well, how do you
and each
build?
to their own.
How do you build on a chorus that you may have written a month ago, taken all the time to record that 10 or 15-second chorus bit, and then walk into a studio and build on that in the same emotion, in the same feel, in the same moment?
Yeah.
It's lost.
Yeah.
It just feels very cynical, I think
It's
is
like
the word.
what we said before. Like, if you don't feel it anymore, you're just forcing it. And if I was to do it like that, I just fucking hate everything I write.
Exactly.
Because it wouldn't be me anymore. It'd be like,
Shut up.
oh, 1,000 people like this on Instagram, so I'll make this a song.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing
Yeah.
it for us.
Yeah.
It's cynical and disingenuous, and I think it just So 100% I'm on board with that. I mean, I think we've had that one mentioned before as well. It seems to be a fairly popular opinion, but then again, you know, we're sort of that, you know, millennial generation, that sort of crossover to millennial, like, you know, elder Gen Z thing. It kind of, the transition is we're just going to be old men yelling at clouds soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already got like the salt and pepper happening in the beard, so
Yep.
I'm already there.
Back in my day, we got real music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
but-
much. Pretty much. I caught
I
myself saying it.
wish I could go back to a time when music was real, like the late 90s.
We always make that joke after we write a song and be like, dude, can you imagine if we were born in like the 70s? We'd be so famous right now.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's just but the way yeah. All right, no, that's a really, really good one. All right, what's your next one?
I was gonna say maybe it goes along with that one, but I was gonna say like the whole kind of like pay to win mentality.
Yeah.
Like that if
Mm.
you pay for like fake followers and fake streams, or like
you can make
afford-
yourself look really good if you have the money to do so.
Yeah, or you can afford like, you know, lots of like digital campaigns and things like that.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
can you can pay to be on all the Spotify playlists. You can pay for all of the media reviews and all that stuff. You can pay for no,
That's the thing. Like, I'm not gonna name any names, but like a lot of the big Australian like blogs and magazines these days, you have to pay like $200-300 just to get like a review.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Unless they actually like your stuff and want to cover it,
Exactly.
then yeah, they like, you know, I think what's worse is when they reach out to you and say, hey, we really like your stuff, we'd love to cover it,
We've had that.
but can you pay us to do so?
Yeah.
It's like, no, if you like it, then cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I can answer that for money.
Yeah.
I mean, we had in Acid Nymph, we had a similar thing. We had the singer from not a massive band, but a band that is, you know, got a decent following, and they're actually on tour out here right now. So make of that what you will. But he reached out to Acid Nymph and was like, "Hey, I really like you guys' stuff. I was wanting to talk about maybe hooking up a feature on your next album or something."
Oh,
Blah blah
shit.
blah. And we were like, "Oh yeah, cool, no worry." But then he wanted to charge us for doing it. So he
That's
was like, he didn't really care. He didn't really like our stuff. He didn't really care about what we were doing. He was just like, I'm reaching out to try and charge you guys $1,000 for me to feature on your album.
Yeah.
Isn't that
And-
technically prostitution?
Isn't
Yeah.
all work technically prostitution?
No,
We're all
but like,
just trying to kill
yeah,
ourselves.
I get that. I get that. But like when you're actively like, hey, baby, I can do a feature on your album. What's going on? That's a bit.
I get it. Like he's
Yeah.
he's out there hustling, trying to make money, and that's fair enough. I'm not gonna, you know, that's why I'm not gonna name any names on it. I don't want people to sort of target anything there. But it's, I mean, to me, I look at that as shitty. I'm like, if you want to if you reach out to someone and say, I really like your stuff, I would like to maybe see if we can work out a thing where I feature on it. Like, if you've reached out wanting to feature on their stuff, you know, like,
Why should then you have to pay for that?
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, I look at it like it's like a date, right? Like, if you ask someone out on a date, you don't then ask for them to pay for the date.
Yeah, right?
Like, that's just backwards logic. So I
Yeah.
think it's, yeah, and you know, there's nothing wrong if he was going, hey, you know, I'm selling features. If anyone's interested, blah blah blah. Or you know, if he reached out and said, hey, I'm just reaching out to artists that are in the same sort of genre. I'm selling features, blah blah blah. Here's the thing, but to yeah, I thought it was just pretty shitty. But it's same kind of deal. I just this the pay to win thing. We want to cover your song, but you have to pay us if you want us to do it. Like,
Yeah. I've got a third one.
Oh, here we go.
Venues not paying artists for playing at shows.
Oh,
yeah,
I know it's
at least that
labor-
hasn't changed about the music scene, eh, Raf?
yeah.
We love playing music, but if we're bringing a crowd to your venue, like, at least like $50 for petrol and parking would be nice.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, we actually, obviously I'm not going to name any names, but we had a very good relationship with a venue, and we played a ticketed show there. So obviously, like, that ticketed money was technically ours. And I think we just had to follow up over the span of about 8 months before they finally got it to us.
Nearly a year.
So yeah, like when stuff like that happens, it's always like, you know,
Just rubs the people the wrong
Wow.
way.
You're almost
Yeah.
better off just trying to fork out the money to hire the venue, pay them the money
Yeah.
up front so they'd leave you alone and just go, man, I'm taking all the ticket money.
and
Yeah, exactly.
the problem I have with that is, like, I'm not big on the money because I'm not doing it for, like, you know, that reason. But the thing that irks me about it so much is that, like, obviously we had to pay the support bands.
Yeah.
So, like, I felt so bad, like, having to be to these support bands, like,
friends of ours. Too.
yeah, exactly, like, you know, trying to explain them this situation, and, like, without, like, hoping that they wouldn't think that I was just, like, trying to keep all the money or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely. It's so difficult to do, and I think, but that's where I think, you know, Kyle's got the right idea. If you can afford to do it and you think you'll be able to do it in such a way that, you know, you can make just a little bit of money, like $100 each or something, like, you're far better off. A band is better off finding the venue, sorting out the venue themselves and going, right, that's our deal. You're not getting any more of the money, and then the bands go, cool, then we have everything from the ticket sales to distribute however we have discussed with the bands that are on there. It's definitely a better deal to do these days, and the fact that bands have to be across the bands have to be across the social media game as well. We're essentially promoters in and of ourselves a lot of the time now, so you're even cutting that middleman producer out, promoter, that really all they're doing is exactly that. They're just booking the venue and finding the bands. If you're in a band, you can fucking do that yourself. So
Yeah, exactly, because most of the time, like, those promoters of venues, like, they don't promote your show.
yeah,
They'll hit you up and be like, "Where's the advertisement for the show I'm putting on for you?" And it's like, "What?"
your job title is promoter. Why are you not doing
Yeah.
promoting? Like,
Oh, the amount of shows we've played with promoters that have never done any promotion, it's like, yeah.
And then it's our fault no one shows up.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we've had you do shows where you put in some advertising, and this is the problem. Like, people say, oh, you know, we still want you to get posters printed up and do flyers and all of this shit, but, like, you know, you get 50 posters printed up, a couple of hundred flyers. That's more than you're going to make from the show most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the deals for the performers are so shitty these days. That's where I think a venue like Tomcat does a pretty decent deal for, at least for their, you know, their weekend shows, like their Friday nights, Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights, because they get a lot of people through the doors, and they know they're going to have a lot of people through the doors. You know, generally they're not ticketed shows, so they'll go, all right, yep, it's a free entry, you know, so we'll pay the bands X amount plus a small bar tab, and, you know, cool. That's something, you know, incentive for people to come down earlier, and they can listen to all this stuff because they're going to come here a lot of the time anyway. And I think that's one of the reasons Tomcats is such a desirable venue for bands to play up here, because they have a good deal, and you know that there's going to be, you know, it's easy to get to. You know, there's going to be tons of people there. It's a popular venue, and they're giving a good deal to the artists, to the bands, a
Yeah.
decent deal at least. Like you make it, you get enough that, and that honestly, I think that's what all most of us really want. Like, yeah, we always hope that something's gonna go viral, something's gonna hit it big, and that we're gonna, be able to make it our primary careers, and we're gonna be making enough from our music and our bands to quit our day jobs and do that for a living. But for that, but we know that's the hope, that's the dream.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, we're kind of going, okay, but the chances of that happening is pretty slim. So if I want to look at a more realistic goal, I just want to try and make the band self-sustainable.
Yeah.
So that the band is kind of, it's not like making me all the money in the world, but it's making enough money that the band can keep going without us personally having to sink thousands and thousands of dollars into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like make money for like merch creation and like recording
Exactly.
and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for that's kind of there's the two tiers, right? Like that's the realistic dream, and even the realistic dream is becoming unrealistic for a lot of bands because venues, and to be fair, I understand a lot of venues have struggled with COVID, and having to have limits on the number of people that can attend meant that there was limits on how much the venue was going to make from the night and how many tickets they could sell, so potentially less money for bands. But if you make a deal with a band to pay them a certain amount, fucking pay them. Like it's
Yeah.
Not just that, the quality's going to get better. You're not going to make a shit name for yourself. Like, as soon as you put yourself out there as a decent venue that takes itself seriously, decent bands that take themselves seriously will come and play at your venue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I've got all the love for Tomcat. Like they revamped, they got like their green room off the side now. That's not just their fucking storage room with all their IT stuff in there. And that's really cool. And that gives the bands a place where they can be away from people if they need a moment to clear their head before or after their set, or they can be out of the way and their gear's a bit more secluded and out of the way there. And yeah, like they just pay people at bands, a not unreasonable amount to play a show.
Yeah.
So, and it's why they booked out so far in advance, right? Like I think last time I inquired about a gig there, I had to book it 6 months ahead. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah. All right. Well,
That's
there you
mental.
go. That was the fuck off files.
They were good ones.
I'm gonna duck out for just a moment, but but you guys keep chatting with Kyle here, and I will be right back.
All right, boys. So I'm going to ask about you saying that you don't play much off your old album in your set now,
Yeah.
and how much would you say you guys sort of progressed, and say the difference would be in between this album and your new one, or the new stuff coming out? How much of a big difference would it be?
I feel like musically, it's not gonna, like, the genre is still kind of the same. I just feel like we've kind of found our niche, I suppose. Like,
yeah, we kind of found
we're trying to do it with Cemetery Weather, and I feel like we finally got it with our new single.
Yeah. I feel like we've definitely added a lot of the energy that we put into our live shows into the songs now.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're a lot more upbeat with some more catchy and hooky choruses. Like it's always been a big thing for me personally to have like the chorus is like the big centerpiece for the song. And I feel like now that we've had that learning experience of recording the album Cemetery, whether we could really hone in on like what makes our songs good, and we can just keep producing that kind of level of quality for ourselves.
So the essence is there. You're just building on what you've learned over the last 2 or 3 years as songwriters and now recording artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're not a different band with these new songs. I just feel like we're more ourselves.
Yeah, nice.
Now.
Yeah. And obviously, like with the single, because it was just one song, it wasn't as rushed. Where I feel like, when you've spent the day recording guitars and you're finally on to like track 12, you kind of start like cutting a few corners, you know what I mean?
Like that whole fix it and post attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do that with a producer. Oh, man. What was it like recording in a rainforest mansion studio?
It was a lot of fun. Like Max said, I kind of undersold it a lot, but when I think back to it, it was definitely like something I've always dreamt about, trying to like getting to go away somewhere so relaxing, and it had that space where if you have too much of the studio time, you could walk outside and there was like a big vast landscape of like the rainforest in the middle of sunshine and coast where you were really able to clear your head and come up with a lot more ideas, I guess. And like Max mentioned before, Cemetery Weather wasn't written properly until we were recording it, and it was when me and Max were able to sit alone in that Airbnb section at the rainforest and just be able to like really write that song. It kind of came together really, really well.
It's amazing what space and ambience and your surroundings can do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think
I kind of have. Sorry, you go.
No. I was just gonna say, I think when you're recording those types of songs that are very personal for you and that can be quite emotional, sometimes you do have to tap into some very intense places for yourself. And having such a nice, calm, relaxing environment outside of the studio to be able to go out to when you're finished with that, like you're like, okay, no, I've got that all out, I've done it. I need to not be in the studio right now because I need to recover from that sort of, you know, emotional space I've had to put myself into for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, the clean air probably didn't hurt anything either, like in terms of recovering between.
Heavily. Every time I went outside, I was like, all right, Dari.
We probably could have finished the album like in half the time if there wasn't as many smoke breaks.
I feel ya. Oh, I was a smoker in the band. That's all I used to do.
Look, it takes as long as it takes, right?
But in saying that though, didn't need to be done any quicker.
No, yeah. It was good being able to take our time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like if it's a situation like that, it often gives you a little more flexibility. You can take your time with it. Whereas if it's a more, you know, if it's a stricter studio environment where you've paid for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, that's where it starts to get, you know, you can feel the pressure a little bit too. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes the pressure makes you focus and makes you go, all right, we got to buckle down and get this. But other times it can be very stressful and it can make it a struggle to get the job done cleanly and to the standard that you might want. So, like, and I've been there. Like, I've done it in fucking, you know, recorded in a fucking barn. Like, we're in the vocal booth, and you take the headphones off, and you can literally hear like beep on the other side of the wall.
Which means the microphone can hear sheep on the inside of the wall.
Yeah, which means the microphone can hear sheep on the inside of the wall. And that's, you know, that's not ragging on that experience. That was an important experience, and we got, you know, we got a certain quality product out of it. And at the time, we were like, hey, this is rad. You know, you look back on it, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of guess, you know, we kind of got what we paid for. But, you know, you learn, and it's all an experience, and you take that forward with you. You go into the next recording, and you're like, okay, this is last time, this is what happened. I like this part, I didn't like this part. Let's get rid of the shit we didn't like, keep the parts of the process we did like, approach things, the stuff we didn't like from a different angle. Maybe we can get the right way to do it. So you're always learning and encountering new ways to do it better next time.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's what we're doing now with these singles. Like, we're taking the experience part of the experience we really, really enjoyed, and part of the experiences that we didn't enjoy, and we're just kind of, focusing on trying to get the best out of ourselves.
And would you consider at any stage, you know, recording and mixing yourselves, being in charge of that process, or do you prefer to have that as an outside part?
We do, like, I do the demos for us usually. I feel like they're rad, but like I'm definitely not confident enough to do it myself. But I did actually remember this before when you were talking about recording in the barn. During quarantine, we actually recorded an EP ourselves.
In my living room.
Well, I was actually going to say, a lot of it was in your bathroom, remember?
Yeah, actually it was. That natural
Great acoustics.
reverb.
Great acoustics.
Yeah. But we had a lot of fun doing it, and we always look back at that time very fondly.
Very amateur, though.
But yeah, we marketed it as a lo-fi EP just because we knew it was terrible quality.
Is that the one with the Godzilla on it?
No, it's we deleted it off Spotify. It was only really on cassette.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was like
so
a
it's-
few acoustic songs. that you
So it's
just
more
kind of-
more like a demo, really, than
Yeah.
a.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Fair
the one with the Godzilla on the front, that was recorded at the same house by the guy that recorded Cemetery Weather, our friend. And yeah, that was kind of what we did with that lo-fi EP. We kind of wanted to do again with like that rough, raw feeling, and just kind of like be a more band sound instead of just like acoustic sad boy songs.
I think the problem with that EP though is we actually Family Reunion and Skin re-recorded live at Red Star Studios, and I feel like that was really good because it like captured our energy.
Oh, dude, I
So
love Skin. Like,
Yeah.
I heard that
Wow.
today. I saw the video clip for it. Oh, I love that song. Like, love that song. And that was recorded fucking live.
Yeah, we recorded that live in like it was like 3 or 4 takes.
I don't remember how many takes.
I remember we couldn't keep
I'm pretty-
because our headphones weren't working properly.
I'm pretty sure we had to chop a few endings together from the
Yeah, we did actually.
yeah.
But yeah,
I think it was Family that we did in a few takes.
oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, Family Reunion was done a few takes. But yeah, Skin's like still a really fun song. Like I wrote that song when I was 17, so I've been playing it for a long, long time. But that's one song we still play live because like the energy and the raw emotion to it still fucking visceral.
I think if you can do that, get the core of it live, I genuinely feel like that is the best way to capture the live energy that a band has, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of bands, you know, and it's not something I see as much these days because, you know, like the ability, like the barrier of entry to recording yourselves and getting something recorded at a reasonable price has come down. So it's allowed a lot of bands to access better quality productions of their music. But something that I've got for a very long time was you would see an amazing band. They would have incredible energy live and you'd be raving to your friends about it and be like, oh, it's an amazing band. And then you find out they've got this music coming out, this CD coming out, and you're talking, oh, they're so good. You got to hear it. You got to hear it. I got to show you. And then the CD just sounds flat and uninteresting
stale
and
almost.
boring and stale, and it doesn't capture the essence of the band because it's been overproduced or it's got, you know, they've had them recorded all individually, and instead of the singer, like, you know, the guitarist like rocking out while they're playing it, they're kind of like, you know, very carefully playing the thing.
Sitting still.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if you can capture that stuff live, it's definitely better. It definitely and then you just go back later and you do more layers and stuff and everything, but you've got that core performance there that you're building around, which is so much more important and it adds so much, but it's obviously not something that's accessible in every environment. So but yeah, like, I think that's personally, I think that's the best way to do it if you've got the space and the budget to do it.
But that's what sort of really boils down to, space and budget.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
thank you very much to Alistair Gamer 8 for your follow.
Yes, thank you very
Thank you
much,
very
Alistair
much.
Gamer. Thank you so much for the follow.
We appreciate it.
So I suppose we should have mentioned it earlier in the stream, but we will mention it now. Those of you that have followed us today, you are in the running for a Double Pass to Gymna Rocks Festival, which is coming up at the end of April. So that's up at Gymna Base Camp, which is awesome. We love that one. We were up there last year. Kyle came up for that.
I'll be up again.
Kyle's coming up again this year. He's going to talk to all of the bands, and whoever wins that Double Pass, he's going to do a little interview with you. That we'll put that one up online. And yeah, so look, why don't we take this one home? So we've got the single release coming up.
Yeah, give us all.
Comes out on Friday the 17th, which is next week. The launch show is, you were telling me this earlier, I want to get it right, is at King Lear's Throne in the Valley on the 19th of February. It's an all ages show, so it starts kind of in the Arvo. And it's yourselves, Toke, Ballpoint, Ouroboros, and Socket. Is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Can people pre-buy tickets for that, or is it just at the door?
It's free entry.
Oh,
free entry.
No,
dude.
it's,
Even better.
you're gonna come.
Even better.
Man,
So
send
if
us,
you're in the
send us a
valley
link
and you got
for it.
nothing going on,
We'll put it up on the Two Dudes Talk Music
Yeah.
page. Please.
we'll absolutely share that one. And then in addition to that, now
That's right. Y'all are coming to
went
Sydney.
away.
Tell it. Look, I'm
Went
in Sydney.
away.
Tell everyone when you're coming to Sydney.
yes, hit us with those details.
We are coming to Sydney on the 25th of March. We're playing at the Burdekin Hotel. We're playing with Everly and Madison Minor.
Yeah. So
Very excited.
the Burdekin Hotel is on Oxford Street. For any of you
Yep.
lovely Sydney people that haven't been there, please listen to the album. Get ready to go see a mad show, you guys. And if
If you're in Sydney, any of our mates in Sydney, anyone watching us
I'll
from
be doing
Sydney,
a gig review.
definitely go down there. Kyle will be down there, so you can say hi. You can give a dap to Kyle, and he'll shout you a drink. Put you on the spot there, Kyle. But,
Yeah. Well,
and you guys have got a
first
you got
person
a
that
few more
says hello.
shows as well. You got a few more shows as well with that. So 25th of February, you're playing Lennox Hotel at Lennox Heads. The 11th of March, Mort's Brewing in Nambour. 18th of March, Kerwick Hotel in Ipswich. So you got a few shows around this launch. That's going to be awesome. From what I've heard, the snippet I've heard of this single, as I said, I'm really, really keen to hear the whole thing. I'm definitely digging the energy that you guys are bringing with it. So there we go. Thank you again for coming on the podcast here. Thank you to our new followers.
Yeah.
Kyle, what have you got coming up, Kyle?
I am still waiting on dates from some of the guys from Junior have been a bit slow, so I'm going to start hustling this weekend. I just got over a bit of a stomach bug that I've had since
that's no good.
Monday. Yeah.
Oh, it's good that you're over it. It's not
I'm
good.
very happy I'm over it. Like, I wouldn't have been able to sit here for this long if I wasn't over it.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But yeah, it was one of them ones. But keep an eye out for them because the tickets will be announced for this one to hit 100 followers. So start following people, and you can go in the draw to win those tickets to Gymna, and then keep an eye out for my streams, and there'll be another 2 sets double pass to go out.
Hell yeah. And for those of you following along at home, our next week's podcast. So we have a very, very special guest next week. Very, very special guest. Someone who has been doing the rounds in the Sydney metal scene in some capacity for a very, very long time. It's Mr. AC Brimshaw himself. Nasjap, Chair-Like Issues, Thoughts of Yesterday, Vendetta Symphony, whatever fucking band you know him from. We got AC coming on next week. We're going to talk all sorts of good shit about his time in the music scene and everything he's done there. So been looking forward to that one. Been trying to get AC on for a little while. And of course, beyond that, I don't really have anything else happening personally. I'm just gearing up for this fucking holiday. So what we are going to be doing, as I've mentioned before, is while I'm away, there's going to be, you know, maybe 1 or 2 pre-tape interviews we're going to put up. And for the ones that's not pre-taped, Kyle's likely going to have a guest host coming in to host with him. We are still trying to tee up a few guests for that period. So if anyone's interested, if you're in a band, if you're watching this and you got something you want to talk about, something you want to plug, reach out to us. Let us know. Two Dudes Talk Music on all the socials. It's going to be a grand old time. We'll have you on. We'll talk all sorts of shit and talk all about the history on there. So
Yeah.
thank you very much again to our guests, to Lockie and Max from Monsters Up North. I almost said from Two Dudes Talk Music. Man, you guys we're Two Dudes Talk Music. You guys are. We are going to play very shortly a song from Monsters Up North. We're going to play a film clip from these guys. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll have a quick chat after the stream has finished. So thank you again for coming on here. Thank you to my co-host, Kyle. What song are we going to be playing, Kyle?
We are going to be playing this evening. We are playing Monsters Up North. All Your Flowers Are Growing Sideways. This song is an absolutely beautiful song. I hope you all love it as much as I do. It's such an amazing, well-written song. And the video clip just is amazing as well.
All right, so that's going to be Monsters Up North, All My Flowers Are Growing Sideways. As always, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to our new followers. And don't forget, follow the page to be in it, to win it for that Gymna Double Pass. And look, we've talked here about how there's lots of lockdowns and everything that were going on for a while. We all know that. We all know how rough it was for everybody. And coming out of it's not been easy for a lot of people either. So just please try and be kind to yourselves and be kind to one another, because it's the only way we're getting out of this. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to my co-host. Thank you again to our guest Monsters Up North. Peace out, everyone.
See you later, y'all.